I recently saw one of my favorite YouTubers, Jen Phelps, post a drugstore makeup tag video, and I thought it'd be really fun to do one too. So I'm going to be going through the questions that she posed and giving my own answers. I'm really excited to see how this turns out because I have not thought about my answers prior to filming this. So we're going to be kind of thinking through things together. I hope you guys enjoy it. Let's just go ahead and get into it. The first question is, if you could only use one drugstore brand for the rest of your life, what would it be? This is a tough one. If it was only one brand that I could use the rest of my life, I would want a brand that I would have options in every category. I would have an option for foundation, an option for concealer, bronzer, blush, yada, yada, yada. Gosh, it might have to be Maybelline. No, you know what? I changed my answer. If I could only pick one brand, I think it would have to be NYX, just because the Buttermelt blushes, bronzers, and highlights are amazing. I love those. I've been a big fan of a lot of NYX complexion products in the past. They had a Born to Glow foundation that was one of my favorite foundations of all time. I like their Bare With Me serum concealer. Of course, NYX has so many amazing lip products. Their fat oil lip oils, their Slick Click lip balms. The only category that I feel like NYX probably doesn't have my all-time favorite thing in is eyeshadow, but I think I can make it work. They also have great primers, so yeah. If I could only use one brand for the rest of my life, I think it would have to be NYX. I'm solidifying that, I'm locking that in, it would be NYX. Question number 2, what is the most underrated, affordable, or drugstore brand? Jen said this as well, and I think I'm gonna have to agree with Jen on this one. I think that Moira is probably one of the most underrated affordable brands. It's not, I guess, a traditional drugstore brand, but it is at drugstore / affordable pricing, and they just have a lot of really standout high quality products. Their lip appeal lip liners are so creamy, so long lasting, and their eyeshadows are out of this world. I also really like their powders. Their color correcting pressed powder is one of my favorite powders. Question number 3 is, what is the most overrated drugstore / affordable brand? And I don't know if this is going to be controversial, but I'm actually going to say L'Oreal for this one, just because L'Oreal to me is one of those like prestige, high-end, slightly higher price tag brands, and there are some products from L'Oreal that I really do love. The L'Oreal Lumi Bronze It Bronzer was one of my favorite bronzer formulas of all time. Sadly, it's been discontinued, but as a whole, L'Oreal is just not one of those brands that really excites me. They kind of seem like the brand that's been frozen in time. You don't always get what you pay for when it comes to quality. A lot of their products that I've tried have not worked out for me. It's definitely an overpriced brand, and I think it's kind of an overrated brand too. Question number 4 is, what is your favorite drugstore product under $5? There is a lip liner from LA Girl, the Perfect Precision lip liner. I specifically love the shades Cafe and Sugar and Spice. These are wooden lip pencils, but they are amazing. They're not super dry. They give you that very soft, blurred, natural, everyday look, and they remind me a lot of the MAC lip liners. I would say if you're in the market for an affordable lip liner, LA Girl is definitely a brand to check out. And again, under $5. Question number 5, what is a hidden gem product from the drugstore or that is affordable that no one talks about? I am gonna have to go with the Rimmel Multitasker Better Than Filters. I've only heard one other person talk about this, Emily Noel. I feel like it's just me and her that are singing the praises of this product. This is a primer, highlighter, glow booster type product, but it actually has more coverage than you would think. And I don't know, there's just something about this that sinks into the skin so beautifully. It dries down, it wears a really long time. It looks super natural and healthy and glowy without being sparkly or metallic. Everyone talks about the e.l.f. Halo Glow, but I actually way prefer this formula. This is definitely a sleeper product. A close runner-up would be the Revlon Color State Flex Wear Full Coverage Concealer. This is one of the best full coverage matte concealers from the drugstore that I've tried. Perfect if you have more dry, dehydrated skin. And I don't hear anybody talking about it. Number 6 is, what is your favorite drugstore foundation? And I will have to easily give that to the Maybelline Superstay 24-Hour Skin Tint. Do not be fooled by the name skin tint. It is not a skin tint. It is a foundation because it has medium to full coverage. It is so beautiful, so glowy, not sparkly, not metallic. Kind of like the Rimmel, but just amped up coverage. One of the best foundations I've ever tried. Even beats out some of my high-end foundations. Question number 7 is, what products do you tend to buy more at the drugstore than high-end? Honestly, I feel like I tend to buy everything more at the drugstore. versus high-end. Maybe not eyeshadow. That might be one product where I do see a marked difference in quality. But aside from that, lip liners, lipsticks, lip balms, foundations, mascaras, eyeliners, I think you can get all those at the drugstore, and a lot of the products are as good as or even better than high-end. If I was going to say which product category I would splurge on, it would probably be, again, eyeshadow or maybe powder. I have very, very finicky, dry, dehydrated skin, so sometimes I will splurge on a high-end powder because a lot of the ones at the drugstore are just a little bit too heavy, but I do have some affordable options that are really great as well. Question number 8 is, what drugstore brand is overpriced? Neutrogena. Definitely Neutrogena. I was in the CVS a couple of weeks ago, and I swear all the Neutrogena products are $15 and above, and I just don't feel like they're a very exciting brand to me. A lot of their products seem like they've been around forever. They're not very innovative. They're marketed as a more clean, beauty, simplistic sort of brand, but actually a lot of their products have fragrance in them, which is not good for your skin. If you were actually paying for more high quality ingredients, then I could see the price being warranted, but in reality their ingredients are not significantly better than a lot of other drugstore brands. So you're kind of just paying for the marketing, not necessarily the quality of the ingredients. And also their shade range is always terrible and abysmal. So I definitely think that Neutrogena is one of the more overpriced drugstore brands. Question number 9 is, what is your favorite drugstore dupe? The Moira Dreamlight highlighters are an amazing dupe for the Rare Beauty powder highlighters. Mine is shattered, so I can't fully show you, but this is a very intense beaming baked highlighter. It's beautiful on the skin, but you can get the same effect with this highlighter from Moira. Even the way that this is pressed in the pan is very similar to the way that my Rare Beauty highlighter looked before it was shattered. It has that sort of domed baked appearance. These are very intense, very blinding, but not chalky, not glittery, not sparkly. They melt into the skin just as well as the Rare Beauty, and the Moira come in even more shades. It's a win-win. They're more affordable. They're also more sturdy. They don't break as easily as the Rare Beauty ones, and you get more shades. So that is my favorite drugstore dupe. Number 11, what is the worst drugstore eyeshadow formula? I think it would either have to be L'Oreal or Maybelline, just because they don't really have a lot of options. Their palettes are mediocre at best. So yeah, it would have to be either one of those brands, L'Oreal / Maybelline. Number 12, drugstore brand that you used to love but aren't crazy about anymore. I think I'm gonna get a lot of heat for this answer, but I'm gonna say e.l.f.
What?
Just because e.l.f. used to be one of my favorite brands. Their satin finish foundation in the glass bottle was one of my favorite foundations. One of the first foundations I ever tried that actually really looked good on my skin. I also really appreciated that they kept their prices super low. I loved their bite-size eyeshadow palettes, their bite-size cheek duos. I just felt like they had a lot of really great products for a more affordable price. But nowadays, it kind of seems like e.l.f. is doing a lot of dupes. And I love a dupe as much as the next person, but somewhere in the mix, it seems like they've lost their brand identity a bit and just been following the trends rather than setting the trends. I still have love in my heart for e.l.f. and I am always rooting for them, but I don't love them as much as I used to. I also wanted to throw in as a runner-up for a brand that I have once loved but has kind of fallen off the radar, or that I'm not as much in love with anymore, and that is Flower Beauty. Simply because I don't even know what's happening with Flower Beauty. Are they going out of business? Are they even around anymore? They're not really releasing any new products, it seems, but there was a time when I was super excited about all of Flower Beauty, the brand, the vibe, and the products. They had so many good ones, so that's another one where I'm like, what is happening? Next question, drugstore product you did not expect to like but were totally wowed by. This one I'm gonna have to give it to the Physicians Formula Diamond Blur Skincare Powder. Like I said earlier, there are not a lot of powders from the drugstore that work for my very finicky, dry, dehydrated skin, but this one does a great job of not being too heavy on the skin but still really blurring and setting down your makeup. I was super impressed. I sort of picked this up on a whim because I needed a powder. I was traveling and I needed a powder. I was pleasantly surprised. It's very, very good. The one thing I will say about it is that it doesn't feel like you get a lot of product in here. It looks big, but a lot of that chunkiness is just from the packaging. I've only had this for a month or two, and it seems like I'm almost completely out. I'm gonna have to cut open this little mesh to try to get the last bit of powder out. So that's not my favorite thing about it, the amount of product for the price, but I do think the quality is really good. And I was really surprised. Kind of a random, pleasant surprise. What does Bob Ross say? A happy accident. Question number 14, what is your favorite affordable eyeshadow palette right now? This was a little bit of a tough one. I almost said the Wet n Wild Always Nude eyeshadow palette just because that has so many good staple neutrals for every day. But in terms of creativity, aesthetically pleasing, beautiful, surprising, just different, I would have to definitely give it to the Revolution Beauty Enchanted Icon palettes, or the Icon palettes. I love all of the palettes. I did a whole video featuring each palette, but my favorite is the Enchanted Icon, which is just this dreamy, princess-like, purpley, pinkish, feminine palette. The mattes are very pigmented, really soft, easy to blend. I personally like a more soft, powdery matte. As long as they adhere to my lid, I have no problem with that. But the thing that really stands out to me in this palette is the shimmers. There are so many really interesting, almost duochrome, multi-chrome, iridescent shades in this palette that I just have not seen really ever at the drugstore. Maybe Moira or ColourPop can compete a bit, but honestly, I was just really impressed when I tried this palette, and I really love it, and every time I use it, I am super happy with the way that my eyeshadow looks. So that was all of the questions that Jen put in her drugstore tag video, but I did want to add a bonus question, and my question is, what is a brand that you feel like is the one to look out for, the up-and-coming brand? Keep it on your radar because they're gonna do big things. And my answer is actually pretty smart. I have not tried a lot from this brand, but I will say their powder formula is very luxurious, very velvety, very smooth, very high-end feeling. So I'm definitely keeping my feelers out for that brand. I think there's a lot of potential for great things to come from there. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel, and I'll catch you guys in my next video.